Today is February 4th, February 19, 2018. I just have a conference, 6 of them, potential buyer or broker acting on behalf of the buyer. Now, they come to me during the conversation of a live video conference because they saw me on video, live video on YouTube. When they come to me, I ask them, how did you find Wilhelmina? They said, Wilhelmina, I saw you on YouTube and I read your Facebook. That was my question. The answer, they saw me on Facebook. So my answer as well. So therefore, if you saw me on Facebook and on video, therefore you know the answer already. And you know the procedure. But I will still give you the answer to your question so that those potential buyer listening or searching for gold through YouTube and Facebook, this video is a very good moral understanding for you guys, that why are you floating around and what is the reason why you were being frustrated. What is the reason? Probably you are looking for cheap price. You are window shopper. Right, you are online window shopper. You are dealing with broker to broker and broker come to me. Because there's no such broker explaining about gold and diamond. How are you able to secure? Now, this is the answer to your question, guys. Number one, you already saw me, right? I just have a 6 conference, potential buyer. I'm based in Australia. I am a seller's marketing consultant and mandate. So, therefore, you're gonna land into Wilhelmina because my seller would not deal with you. Especially if you're asking LC, is BLC, or C.I.F. It stands for cost and insurance and freight only. Who is going to pay for that? You need to have a capital. Now, let's be honest to each other. Let's do business properly. Number one, you already saw me, right? So the question and answer is already in front of you. You already saw me on YouTube and you read my extensive explanation on Facebook. You sent me letter of intent. Dear Wilhelmina, I saw you on YouTube and I read your Facebook. I am very much interested to secure gold. This is my requirement. I need 22 carats. I'm going to make into jewelry. I need 92 or 94 purity. And I want you to send the gold to India, Dubai, Australia, or New York, Hong Kong, Singapore, something like that. So you have to put that onto the letter of intent of yours on your company letterhead. Number 2, the mode of payment. This is not C.I.F, as I've told you. C.I.F stands for cost, insurance, and freight only. Who is going to pay for that? So therefore, this is not a credit. So therefore, you need to have financial capital into your bank account standby. Okay, so number 2, this is FOB. Then number 3, which refinery you are going to take your gold when you pay the gold from the seller. Okay. Number 4, on your letter of intent, you need to send us your business license. Attached on the letter of intent, your business license, your passport copy, or importation license, proving that you are really a buyer. If you cannot convince me, therefore you are not a buyer. That is question number 3. Question number 4. The answer is, when you send us a letter of intent, attention to Wilhelmina Ford as a seller's mandate, then Wilhelmina will validate you. Then after validation, I will send you a letter of intent to the head office. Then we will prepare the contract. Right. Then we will invite you to travel to see what you are buying. So therefore, you have already standby capital. So when we receive the letter of intent, we will respond your letter of intent, letter of acknowledgement, and the contract. We send you the contract because you already provide us your information. There, so and so. Thank you very much for your letter of intent via our mandate, Wilhelmina Ford in Australia. Sending the contract, the banking details of the seller would be on the contract, the passport copy of the seller, and the business license, etc. and the requirement that you are going to take the gold out of the country. Right. Number 5, we will send you the cable visa as a company guest. Right. Then you're gonna arrive in Bamako or in Mali. So you inspect the gold in the office. You don't own the gold because you are a guest. So the seller will show you the gold in the office to inspect the reserve that you state that in your letter of intent, maybe 20 or 50 or 10 kilos. So when you arrive, the gold is ready for your inspection in the office. So when you inspect the 10 or 20 or 50 kilos, then that is the time the gold will be assayed to the local refinery. There is a cost for the assay, $50 per kilo. So you as the buyer, you pay for the cost of assay to the local refinery because you are the applicant. Before you travel, I encourage you to buy a gold analyzer, your gold tester. You can buy that online for your security reason, to double check. But you have not paid, you have not released the payment yet. You only pay the 50 kilos. Let's say 50 times 50. 50 times 50, that is 2,500. You have to pay that to the refinery because you are the applicant. And then after the assay, you double check. Inside the refinery, you double check. Then when you're satisfied, then that is the time you transfer your payment bank to bank. So it would take 3 working days to clear your payment. So while you are in Mali or in Conakry, you buy the metal box and put the gold into the metal box and seal it. Initial both parties, both buyers and seller, while waiting for your payment, 3 working days to clear, then the seller will issue the export documentation, commercial invoice, certificate of ownership, the assay report. You already got the assay report, the airway bill, the certificate of insurance, and the custom declaration. Once the payment has been cleared to the seller's bank account, then the seller will secure all export documentation. Now you're gonna ask, well, Amina, do I have to pay taxes? No, the price is already on tax. Tax is already on the price. So you don't need to pay taxes, you pay for the gold. Right, so this is FOB. Right, you pay for the gold. So when the payment will be cleared, that is the time the seller pay taxes out of your payment, because you are given the gold, right? You are paying the gold, so the tax is already on the price. So when the payment is cleared, then the seller will secure all export documentation, insurance, etc., etc. Okay, so if you are not getting full understanding, after my conversation in front of you, click below. I will put the link. You take time to scroll down. Mali or Conakry, the requirement exactly the same. No matter what African country you are going to travel, you need to follow the government regulation. There is no tax to be paid. Our tax is already there. The tax inclusive, the price tax inclusive. Now you're gonna say, well, Amina, what is my discount? That is a very good question. The selling price is tax is an LME based on the world market today. Now the price of gold today, we give you 10% on 43,416.29. You list that minus 10%. That is the selling price. The price of gold is the based on everyday, based on the world market. So there's a saying, supply and demand determine the price. So if you don't have the capital, how are you able to get the gold? If you're asking C.I.F, therefore you don't have the money. Therefore you are going to leverage. C.I.F stands for cost and insurance and freight. Who is going to pay for that? Hey? Who? So therefore you are asking for credit. No, it wouldn't work at all, because gold is money. Gold is a solid cash versus your paper money. Right. I think I've given you the answer. Now you're gonna say, well, Amina, I want LC. Immediately I will reject your letter of intent. When you're gonna say, well, Amina, I'm gonna buy gold C.I.F on your letter of intent, immediately your letter of intent will be junk, will be put on the wheelie bin, because this is FOB. You travel, don't bring money. You travel, you're gonna be invited. Then you assay the gold. You inspect the gold in the office before the gold to be assayed. Now you're gonna say, oh Wilhelmina, I'm scared to travel. Then you need Wilhelmina. Wilhelmina will charge her extra service. I am giving you already my free service, explaining in front of you. So if you are scared to travel because you are first timer and you're afraid with African, I was in West Africa, I was not afraid with African. I wasn't. Now this is what I'm gonna do with you. The discount is 10% based on the world market. And if you take Wilhelmina with you as an extra service, you are a winner. Why? I will supervise you and I will sit down with my seller to give you a flexible discount. But Wilhelmina's extra service is not for free. I charge my trip. Think about that. You're a buyer. What is a trip? I charge the cost of my travel because I will buy a ticket here from Australia to the destination like Mali and Conakry. And if you don't want to buy my trip, it's okay. I will arrange the meeting and I will arrange your travel to the head office. But if you're hesitant, you're scared, because I can guarantee you there would be an issue if I'm not around. Why? African is also fickle-minded. They are also very rascal when they have a conversation. In business, you need a good facilitator. When you have a good facilitator, both parties are happy. You need someone that can understand you. You need someone that can talk to my seller. I will ask my seller to give you a flexible discount if I would be on the ground with you. I can guarantee you, I can assure you, because I will travel ahead of your arrival. So I will do the homework for you. So the seller is already prepared to meet you, and I'm gonna ask my seller to give you a flexible discount. Instead of 10%, maybe we can give you 11%. Because you take Wilhelmina. But if Wilhelmina is not around, you will get 10%. Think about it. 1% extra. What is the cost of the airfare and hotel accommodation and a little bit of spending money? And you will a winner at the end of the day. Think about that. So now, I already given you the answer. Out of six people that I have a conference, they have so many problems. They share with me. I'm going to share with you guys those potential buyers and the seller. Be aware of those scrupulous broker as well. Now, I received an email. The letter of intent dated 2016. It was been floated around from broker to broker. I know this buyer. But I will not mention his name because he's been talking to me on Skype, and also his broker. So I responded the other day. So, oh, Mr. So-and-so, I saw your letter of intent. I received it. But this letter of intent been floating around from broker to broker. 5 brokers sent me the same letter of intent. So the buyer responded to me. So, well, Amina, I was not aware that my letter of intent has been floating around. See? And I've been to Ghana. I stayed in Ghana for a month. I didn't get the gold. So I said to him, wow, what happened? You know, Wilhelmina, you've been to Ghana, and this seller, they didn't show up. I'll give you the weakness of the seller, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I've been to Ghana. I trained my seller. I explained the seller what we're gonna do when the buyer, international buyer, come to their country. They are illiterate. They are narrow-minded. They are devious people. The gold doesn't belong to them. They have the license to mine. Because of the community plenty of gold, they gather the gold as a consignee. So they are going to sell it to you. I'm going to reveal the real secret of this seller in Africa. Right. This seller in Ghana, they have a license, but the production is not enough. So they go village to village. They're gonna talk to the illiterate owner of the gold. So they're gonna pay advance. They're gonna give the illiterate owner of rice, coffee, sugar in advance. So they're gonna give their gold to the licensee in order to market to the world. because that licensee, they have also license to mine. They have also an export license, but their quantity is not enough. So they gather 500, 600 tons of gold. Right. But you will never get the gold if you're asking for C.I.F. That is the real story. So if you are the buyer, you travel to Ghana thinking you can get the gold C.I.F and LC, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your money, because you would never get gold. I'll give you an example. Right. I was in Ghana. I was paid by the seller to travel because they're losing gold as well. My seller has a license to mine, and they have mines. I went to the mines. You can see that on my Facebook. And I took Eric Blasco. Eric Blasco from Mexico. He signed a contract during the time the price of gold was 55. We give them 42,000 per kilo. The 50 kilos worth 24 million during the time. And my seller hired a security van to bring the gold to Accra. You know how much the security armor charged the seller? From the village to Accra, 5,000. Then they deposit the gold to the security company for security reason and bring it to AR Logistic, another 5,000. So 10,000. So the buyer was not aware of that. I was not even aware until Eric Blasco and Mr. Marine cannot afford to pay the gold. So the 50 kilos was brought to AR Logistic. AR Logistic is the best refinery because I survey the facilities. They smelt the gold, but they cannot afford to pay the 2,500 on 50 kilos because the $50 per kilo. So we take the 3 kilos to ASE. They only paid 150. After that, they couldn't afford to get the 24 million, which is 50 kilos. So that was my bad experience. And Eric Blasco is a Mexican mafia. And they wanted to bring the gold to Mexico. And they screwed me. After ASE, they didn't want to talk to me. Lucky that I was very close to the main owner, the old man. I was dealing with David Anim. And David Anim and Eric Blasco, they screwed me. David Anim is a half brother. Yeah. So that was my bad experience. So I'm sharing you so that you will not be burned out. But in spite of that, I learned a lot. It's better to have a bad experience because you learn out of your bad experience. That is the reason why I fired all of my seller last year. I've given Ghana an opportunity. They hired me, but they are devious. I fired them instead. I told them that when I blog you on YouTube, you will lose business. Because I'm not African. I am Australian. I was born in the Philippines, but I am Australian. I am going to rectify the deviousness of the buyer and the seller. So that was my bad experience. So I'm sharing you because this buyer, right, that he's been in Ghana for a month, they couldn't get the gold. Even I have the buyer last year. He transferred payment to a refinery of 19,250,000. And I fired my seller because they are also devious. They sign a contract. This is the weakness of African. They're gonna meet you first, especially in Ghana. Then they will not pick up the phone calls. That is their weakness. I'm giving you the weakness of this Ghanaian seller. They're gonna meet you, yeah? You invite them for breakfast or dinner. They will eat. Eat. Because I've done that before. And then they will go back to the village. They will not pick your answer, your phone call. They have to give you a lot of alibi. Why? Because the gold doesn't belong to them. See? So my seller is different. Aurum Mining Company is different. They own the gold, but the owner of the Aurum Company has been he died because of David Anim. He brought the 100 kilos to Russia. He was been kidnapped. Yeah, David Anim was kidnapped. I don't know if he was going to bail out. Good on you. Karma. So that is the reason why even William Quaco General Field Mining Company, don't deal with General Field Mining Company. Don't deal with Sweeney and also Nana Minsa. I call this I have a lot of us. I cannot remember because I already fired this seller. Okay, and I'm gonna. Okay, I forgot. So don't deal with the Ghana. Don't travel. You're wasting your money. Come with me instead. I take you to Conakry and Mali. Do not travel without Wilhelmina. Because you have already bad experience and I have a bad experience, I learn out of that. I will travel ahead of time. But my extra service is not for free. It doesn't matter if he is my seller. I want to be with you. I want to supervise so that you will come back on the second shipment. What is airfare and hotel accommodation and spending money if you get the profit? And if I travel with you, then I can ask the seller to give you 11%. So you gain 1% out of your airfare. You pay my airfare, you pay my hotel accommodation. But if you don't want to pay my hotel and trip, well, you can travel. I will just arrange. But if there is a problem, do not come back to Wilhelmina. Right? Do not ask Wilhelmina because I cannot help you. Yeah, I cannot help you. But if I am there, I will arrive the day before. Then you're gonna be happy. This is what the buyer stuck in Ghana. But anyway, I'm explaining to you about Ghana. Forget about Ghana. Don't come to Ghana. And do not send money to any refinery in Ghana. Do not. If the refinery will say yes, I will give you the gold transfer payment on our refinery, do not. You will never get gold. The seller would not deal. Do not. It's better if you meet a good seller in Ghana, you pay bank to bank. It's better. But if I'm where you guys, don't come to Ghana because gold in Ghana coming from border to border. Gold from Ghana coming from Congo, coming from Conakry, coming from Mali, coming from Sierra Leone, coming from Cameroon is smuggled. Is smuggled. And the gold is on the security company in Accra, and there is a demurrage. The seller wouldn't be able to take the gold out of the security company until the owner will pay the demurrage, and you don't have the money. So forget about it. Do not travel in Ghana if you think you can get C.I.F. No, it wouldn't talk. It wouldn't work at all. It wouldn't work at all. Now going back to your question, I already given you the answer. I will take you to Conakry. Conakry is land of plenty. Or if you are wanting to get gold in Mali, the third largest, yes, Mali is the third largest gold producer in West Africa. Why Australian Mining Company is in Bamako, Mali? Why KMR is in Bamako, Mali? It's an Italian group of company. Now, I had a buyer that they wanted to get gold to Mali. They wanted to refine gold in KMR. I just received an email. Now, this is my explanation to anyone that wanting to use KMR. My seller will supply you being a buyer, right? According to my seller. They will ask you first the gold to the government refinery in order to get the assay report, the carats, and the purity. After that, you pay the gold. The gold will not be delivered in KMR. Wouldn't, because KMR is a private refinery. They are a licensee to smelt gold bar doré to gold bullion. So according to my sellers in Mali, that yes, we will sell the gold to the buyer. If he is using KMR, then the buyer has to pay, so that the seller will give the buyer paperwork, because the gold cannot be taken to KMR without paperwork that you pay the gold to the seller, the commercial invoice, the export license from the seller, as a report, the declaration that the gold is free of illegal activities. So when you pay the gold to the seller, then that is the time you can bring the gold to KMR to smelt it into gold bullion 99.99, because they have the license to smelt it. They're a big company. Their head office is in Italy. So that is the instructions of my seller. But if you're gonna say, well, Amina, tell your seller to bring gold to KMR, no, it wouldn't work, because you are using the facilities of KMR. You have a refinery account. The seller don't have that. The seller prepared to sell to you and ask the gold to the local refinery and sell it to you. You pay first, then you can smelt it to KMR. Now, this is my answer to your question. You are a buyer. You have no idea about gold. Gold has a chemical component. Gold will shrink. I called up the KMR last year. I was talking to one of the director, Jethro, but Jethro is no longer there in Mali. I think he's back to London, according to my seller. And you're gonna talk to the director. His name is Dario. So I have not spoken to Dario, but I've spoken to Jethro. So this is what my seller was telling me. And Jethro, when the gold bar dory to smelt into gold bullion on 20 kilos will shrink, but to 18 kilos, 750 grams. So I go back to my seller that, oh, the gold will shrink. But the seller has no idea, but I have the idea, because when I sold the gold in Ghana, some of the gold are not really gold. They are only gold for industrial, 12% 12 carats, and 89%. So there's a lot of problem in Ghana, but forget about Ghana. I'm just mentioning Ghana. So go back to Mali. So I said to my seller, if the buyer want 20 kilos to refine into gold bullion, the seller will give extra of 4 kilos. 24 kilos turned to 20 kilos, but the discount is 8% less. Yeah, the 4 kilos is money. Yeah, extra. So on 24 kilos, right? Or whatever the price of gold today, less 8%. Whether you sell the gold to KMR, it's your problem. KMR will buy 1.1 or 2%. So 8%, you still have 7%. I know that. KMR is also a buyer. That is the reason why the seller would not bring the gold to KMR. So it's up to you if you are really buying gold and use KMR. KMR is buying as well. They also buying. I got I'm not going to mention this, right? The big company, right? They go to the village and buy rice. This is what my seller was telling me. Buy rice and feed the poor people, so that the poor people can supply that big company. And I said to my seller in Mali, you can do that. Wilhelmina, nobody guide us. I said to them, very simple. You are a local. You buy rice. You buy coffee and milk. Feed them. Open a cafeteria. All those small miners that have license, because the land is plenty of gold, they come to you in exchange of rice, in exchange of coffee. You know what? My seller said, that's a good idea. And I said to my seller, you're giving me the idea. It's very simple. Very simple. So that is how the ins and out of gold. But anyway, I'm sharing you a little bit. I know, guys. I know. When I was in Ghana, I even bought the rice, coffee, water in Accra Shopping Center, bread, together with my driver, and I give it to the worker, and the worker loves me. So very simple. Foreigner doesn't give gesture of goodwill. Foreigner doesn't give away. That is the sickness of foreigner. Alright? I was born in the Philippines. I know. When I visit my relatives back home, I buy a gift. I buy something. In Africa, exactly the same. Yeah. But I'm giving you the hint. But anyway, I should not give you that hint. But it's okay. Information is vital. Now, in Conakry, the gold is 96.6 purity. My seller in Mali and Conakry been in gold 21 years. My seller is not a fly-night business. It's not a fly-night business company. You as the broker is a fly-night broker online. And you as the trader, a small trader, maybe you're also fly-night business trader. Well, that is business, as long as you have a capital. Did I give you the answer to all the questions that I have got from the buyers or brokers during my conversation 1 hour ago? I am just sharing this information. The answer on the question is in front of you. It's up to you to register that into your mind. Now, I know you cannot you cannot understand. After my explanation, there is a link below. Scroll down, read Mali and Conakry. All the necessary requirement is there, right? Now I'm going to summarize again. Maybe you did not pay attention. I will summarize again, before I'm going to close my conversation to you in front. Number 1, you send a letter of intention. Whether you are buying gold and diamond, you state how many stones, how many carats, etc. In gold business, state that into your letter of intent. Attention to Wilhelmina, because Wilhelmina will validate you. Dear Wilhelmina, please help me. I want to buy gold or diamond. This is my requirement. In gold, I want to buy 22 carats to make into jewelry, 94 purity. I want to buy. I've been looking for gold that I couldn't find the gold. Now the payment must be cash, FOB, not C.I.F. If you're gonna send me a letter of intent C.I.F, I will reject you right and there. Wilhelmina, I've been searching for gold I couldn't find. Please help me. So you send me your passport copy and your business license, because Wilhelmina will validate you on your letter of intent. Then when I receive that, I will call you and I will talk to you for a while, and I will ask you a few questions. On your letter of intent, you must put the refinery address of your destination. You must, so that I can help you, I can advise you, being a trader. Right. So then when we receive it, we will send you a letter of acknowledgement and the contract. This is FOB, not LC, not C.I.F, not SBLC. Forget about it. You need to have a capital to pay the product before you're going to resell it to your customer. And if you are floating with broker to broker, then you pay your broker, because once we give you a discount, it is your profit. Our selling price is 10% based on the world market. Supply and demand determine the price. The price of gold today is February 19, 43,416.29. We give you 10% less, tax inclusive. You don't have to pay taxes. You test the gold, then after the testing, you release your payment bank to bank. It will clear 3 working days. Then after the payment will be cleared, then that is the time the seller will secure export documentation. The seller will give you the certificate of ownership. The seller will do the export license to you, and the seller has a report and the insurance and the certificate of ownership that the gold is free of illegal activities. After the payment has been released, you cannot take the gold out of the country without export documentation. Is that make sense now? I've given you the answer to all questions. Whoever you are, as the seller, this is for the seller as well. Whoever you are, do not tempted to deal with the buyer asking C.I.F, because when the gold in the hand of the buyer, you as the seller have no control anymore. Maybe that buyer will kill you, because my seller's comrade in Conakry was poisoned by Indian Pakistani, and the seller as well in Mali was been kidnapped by Italian, right? And also one seller in Togo 2 years ago in 2009 was murdered in China. So either both buyers and seller, the seller will lose his gold and money, because gold is money, or you're gonna be murdered, or the buyer will lose his money, and or you're gonna be kidnapped. Both buyers or sellers are cutting corners. So you're gonna be scared. So, oh, Wilhelmina, I'm scared to travel in Africa. Yes, you're gonna be scared if you're a bargainer. Yes, you will be murdered. Why? The seller will take a revenge, because they're angry of you guys. Especially recently, a seller's friend has been murdered. There was a buyer from New York. He did invite the seller from Sierra Leone. He lost $5 million worth of diamond. So this is for everyone. Whoever you are, buyers and seller, please do not cut corner. Seller, there's so many hungry buyers around the world. You are rich. Gold is money. And diamond. Africa is a huge continent. You are rich in natural resources. Don't be tempted to believe on buyers. If the buyer cannot afford to pay, he is not a buyer. Right? Why Chinese are everywhere in Africa? I've been to West Africa. I shake my head. Until now, I'm really get angry. My heart bleeds. Why? When I was in Ghana, I went to the mines. And the husband and wife digging gold. And their children was really hungry. And 2 years old, a very pretty little girl, a Ghanaian little girl, very, very pretty. I fall in love with that girl because I don't have kids. And she sleep on the leaves of cocoa tree. My seller have 500 cocoa tree and they just don't know how to handle their cocoa. Cacao. That is money to make a chocolate. And no one guided them. Most foreigners are thieves. You are thieves. Why? You ask for nothing. You ask for free. You ask for credit. You are thieves. I told my seller, foreigners are thieves. I am a foreigner, but I don't like foreigner will cheat African. You treat African as an underdog because of their color. I said to my seller during the meeting, well, because I invited my seller in Ghana, 7 of them. You know what their sentiment is like this? Well, Amina, white people think that we are ignorance. White people underestimate us because we are black. I start to get angry. I said to one of the seller, okay, if the white people think because you are black, tell them, yeah, we are black, but our heart is full of gold and diamond. They start to pluck their hand. I told them, don't worry about your color. God created white and black. Be thankful that you are colored. It's a distinction. Yeah, they are thieves. Why? They come to your country, so therefore they're hungry. Yeah, they're poor. Why they're poor? They're asking for C.I.F. They don't have the money. I told them. My seller said, you know, Wilhelmina, you are the only person who tell us. Broker doesn't help you guys. They only think about their commission. CNDA. Don't worry about it. That is the reason why when I return from my trip, I start to introduce this one. In Australia, I'm in real estate, I diverted into gold and diamond. In Australia, when you come to the principal office, I used to work in a big company. I am a property developer negotiator. I go out and negotiate and talk to the developer. It's very simple. You have to be a good negotiator. Yeah. So I told this Africans are behind. I told them, guys, you are really behind. And you were being disadvantaged by a foreigner. There's so many foreigners there. So many. Australian, Italian, Middle East, Chinese, Americans, Canadian, European. They're there. I said to my seller, very simple. Foreigners in your country, they're hungry. They're poor. Because if they are not poor, why they ask for LC? Why they ask for C.I.F? They're going to leverage the gold. This is what I have said to the seller. Right? They're going to leverage to resell it to the refinery, and then the refinery pay that foreigner, and then foreigner will pay you. Now what happened if you're gonna give your gold, Mr. Seller, and then the gold is in their hand? They will kill you. They will not pay you. Believe me, I can guarantee you 100%. That is the reason why most of the buyer knows me and the broker, they're scared of me, because I am telling the truth. Now I think I've given you the answer. Right. So I hope you guys, you're not going to deceive yourself. You follow, you will get the supply. Because the price of gold is getting higher and higher. You will never get gold cheap. Okay, there's so many cheap offer. May I explain to you again and again? That cheap offer, they will give you 28,000 gross. Why I know? I asked any seller on the ground by conversation live. They are selling you $28,000. You're a foreigner, you don't have a license. That is gross. The tax is not on there. The valued added tax is not on the 28,000. The insurance is not there on the 28,000. The export tax is not on the 28,000. So when you're gonna say, oh, that is very cheap, I wanna get it, you're gonna be trapped. Why? There was an American guy, his name is C.I.F. I have to mention his name. And he was talking to me 2 years ago. So Wilhelmina, I'm in Kenya. I was offered 25,000. Oh, thank you very much. Good luck. So he stayed there for 3 weeks. Gold in Kenya coming from Congo. Congo is a UN embargo. You cannot take the gold out of the country without export documentation. So the gold from Congo brought out in Congo and Tanzania. So the owner, he brought that smuggled. He gonna talk to the Kenyan licensee. This is how it works. So can do it. So the Kenyan licensee is the front up from the owner of the gold. So that Kenyan licensee, of course, they're gonna declare that to his government to change the ownership, and that there is a tax, and that licensee, he will also get the profit. Of course, this is business, buy and sell and get the profit. And you, as a foreigner, you're greedy. You grab the $28,000. What happened? You're trapped. What happened? Yeah, he lost money. And then he come back to me. Wilhelmina, I should listen to your advice. Wow. It's too late, isn't it? I would never grab. Again, there was another seller from Sierra Leone. The same price. And he talked to me. Wilhelmina, I sell 28. I said, wrong. You are deceiving yourself as well. Both buyers are deceiving each other. Because seller is hungry to sell and buyer hungry to grab. At the end, you are the loser. Believe me. Buy gold to a licensee. Do not muck around, because you're gonna be encounter disaster at the end of the day. Just like when you drive a car on the main road and then you're drunk, you're driving the car winding road, what happened? You will meet an accident. Buying gold exactly the same. There are so many buyers lost money as well. So many, because your eyes is bigger than $1. You want to get handsome profit, right? Don't do that. You will buy gold to a licensee. You still get the profit, because the real seller will sell his gold based on the world market. The tax is already on the price. You're given 10%. You resell it to the refinery. How much the gold in Dubai? 22 carats, right? They are buying 41,300, and then you're getting a discount. You still get the profit of 7% net, and then you're cutting corner. So what happened? You ended into disaster, right? I had a buyer that I know him. He owned a refinery. His refinery beside Emirates, but I'm not going to mention his name because he signed a contract he didn't perform. 2 years ago, this guy, he's from London, but he has an office in Dubai. He has a refinery. But if I mention this name, this guy, he would be embarrassed. He has a website, and he has been dealing with so many broker, and the broker window shop, and he sent the letter of intent from that particular buyer. And I know the buyer, and I said to this broker, say hello to your director. So why? I know this guy. No way that guy will get gold 500 kilos C.I.F. He's going to acid the gold to Emirates, right? And then Emirates pay him handsome profit, and then he pay the seller. Wouldn't work at all. Meaning to say, that particular buyer, sophisticated website, sophisticated letter of intent, he's going to launder like money laundering. He laundered the gold, he leveraged the gold, he will take the gold of the buyer from Africa, no payment, and then he's gonna resell it on handsome profit, and then he paid the seller. It wouldn't work at all. Guys, whoever you are, buyer, seller, don't be tainted. If the buyer cannot afford to pay, don't sell your gold. Your gold is money. If the buyer cannot afford to pay, meaning to say he is a gold launderer, believe me, Wilhelmina is telling the truth. Wilhelmina has been in your country, my dear seller. That is why my seller in Conakry say, yeah, you are true, Wilhelmina. That is why I will stop those foreigner are scrupulous. The worst buyers are Indian, bargainer, and Italian and Russian, bargainer. They are sweet talker. Seller, do not believe on sweet talker. Tell them, okay, how are you able to pay? So, C.I.F, good luck, thank you very much. That's all I do. That is the reason why I have this video. I've given the answer and the question, but I tell you the secret, Mr. Buyer or Mr. Seller. Take notice of my question and answer. This is for your own benefit, whether you are buyer or the seller. Do not deal with brokers. Brokers are useless. Yeah, they only think about gold, their commission, and NC, ND. I don't deal with that. That is why I brought this live video explanation. Why I do this? I pattern the way Australians doing business. We sell groceries online now. Why Amazon? Why eBay is online? You can buy. I'm the one who introduced this. No such broker are explaining to this. So I think my question, your question has been answered. Your question has been answered very thoroughly. It's up to you to understand. Now, if you're still confused, read, click below. There's all the necessary requirement for you to comply before we invite you. Come on conference. Call me on my phone. Right. Call me, send me an email. Wilhelmina, I saw you. Please help me. Yes. I'll take you to Mali. I'll take you to Conakry. We have gold. Show me. How are you able to pay? Show me that you have proof of fund. That is very simple. Thank you very much and have a pleasant good morning.